The night is soft. A cool, gentle rain falls on the canvas roof of a tent somewhere in the French countryside. It is a quiet sound, a steady drumming that seems to wash the world clean. Inside, a small light burns, casting a warm yellow glow over a simple wooden table. A young man leans forward, his focus entirely on the sketchbook open before him. You can hear the soft, rhythmic scratch of a pencil moving across the paper. It is a sound of creation, not destruction. Far off, so distant it is almost part of the silence, a truck idles with a low, steady hum. From a nearby tent, a radio murmurs, the static and faint voices blending into a kind of lullaby for a sleeping world. In 1944, strange letters began arriving in mailboxes across the United States. They were draft notices, but not sent to typical farm boys, not sent to factory workers, bustling art schools of New York City, quiet design studios of Philadelphia, vibrant theater districts of Chicago, young men learning to draw, learning to paint, building sets, designing fashion, were being called to war. For many, it felt like a mistake. Their hands were small and nimble, delicate work of a paintbrush, delicate work of a charcoal stick, not the heavy, cold steel of a rifle. The work of the Ghost Army. Paper rustle, low pad, a strange and quiet craft. Brushes, soft footsteps, a blend of stage magic. Wood creak and military strategy. Map table murmur. Their tools were not guns, silence, or grenades. Wood thud soft, they used paint. Brush, they used cloth. Needle pull, fabric. They relied on air, compressor thrum low. A core element, the inflatable tank, canvas flap, life-size dummies of rubber. Hand pat on rubber and canvas, fabric hush. Inflated on the battlefield with air compressors. Air rush seen from a distance, in soft dawn or dusk light. Birds faint, they looked like real M4 Sherman tanks. Low drone. A small team could inflate a whole platoon in under an hour. Time-lapse hush. Turning empty countryside into a fake armored division, wind over fields. Sound was another crucial layer. Tape reel spin. Sound engineers from radio and film made high-fidelity recordings. Room tone, clatter of tank treads, metal rattle, rumble of truck convoys, low thunder of engines, shouted commands of officers, voices in cadence, metallic clang of engineers building a bridge. Metallic ring recordings played through massive speakers on trucks. Speaker hum. At night, the trucks drove, broadcasting a marching army. March loop, distant German intelligence listened, believing thousands were nearby. Morse, muffled chatter. The masterpiece of the Ghost Army. Their grandest and most important performance came in March 1945, during the final push into Germany. The Allied armies needed to cross the Rhine River, a wide, fast-flowing and heavily defended natural barrier. A direct, concentrated assault would be incredibly costly in terms of human lives. The plan, Operation Viersen, relied on a massive deception to draw German defenders away from the true crossing point of the Ninth Army. This monumental task was given to the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. They were asked to simulate the presence of two entire divisions, about 40,000 men, to convince the Germans that the crossing would happen 10 miles south of the real location. For weeks, the Ghost Army went to work with an intensity they had never before required. It was their largest and most complex production. They deployed their full arsenal of tricks. Hundreds of inflatable tanks were arranged in convincing formations across the fields, their rubber skins catching the spring light. Dummy artillery pieces were positioned to look as if they were zeroing in on German positions across the river. Every detail was meticulously planned to build a compelling and undeniable fiction. Paper, low murmur. At night, the performance grew even more dramatic. Generator hum. The speaker trucks roared to life, playing their symphony of war. Broadcast, boots, chains, engines. The recorded sounds of pontoon bridge construction, metallic knocks, the clanking of armored vehicles, track clatter, and the shouts of thousands of men echoed through the darkness. Crowds swell, then fade, creating an acoustic ghost of a massive army preparing its assault. Reverberant valley carry. The spoof radio networks chattered endlessly, broadcasting false orders and reports that were carefully designed to be intercepted. Morse, code talk. The actors in the unit visited nearby towns, spreading rumors and letting slip, secret information about the impending crossing. Cafe Clink murmurs. They were weaving a story so convincing that the German command had to believe it. Paper shuffle. The deception worked perfectly. Distant artillery. On the night of the actual crossing, German forces remained fixated on the phantom army created by the 23rd. Radio hash. They directed their artillery and reserves toward the fake assembly area, expecting a massive attack that would never come. Engines recede. 10 miles to the north, under the cover of this elaborate distraction, the real Ninth Army crossed the Rhine against far lighter resistance than anticipated. Water slap, low voices. Military historians estimate that the Ghost Army's quiet, artistic deception may have saved between 15,000 and 30,000 Allied soldiers' lives. Page turns. It was their final and greatest act, an illusion that altered the course of the battle and brought the war one step closer to its end. Soft cheer far away. Night wind, river far. Silence with rain ghosted in. When the war ended, the men of the Ghost Army packed up canvas fold, buckles, their rubber tanks, air hiss, and speaker trucks for the last time. Power down hum. They went home like millions of other soldiers to rebuild their lives. Station ambience soft. They returned to their art studios. Quiet light. They returned to their design firms. Paper swish. They returned to their theaters. Backstage hush. But unlike other veterans, they carried a story they were not allowed to tell. Clock tick. Their entire operation had been classified as top secret. Stamp thud. The technologies and tactics they had used were deemed too valuable to be made public. Paper fold. And so, for decades, they were bound to silence. Room hush. A mission that had defined their youth was locked away, a secret they could not share. Key turn. When their children asked what they did in the war, they could only offer vague, unsatisfying answers like, house ambience. I was in a special unit, quiet breath, or I drove a truck, metal tick. The story of the Ghost Army offers a soft and gentle lesson. In our collective memory, war is often painted in broad, loud strokes of heroism and violence. Booming cannons charging soldiers, epic battles. But the tale of these artist soldiers reminds us that courage can also be quiet. It can live in the careful stroke of a paintbrush, the clever placement of a speaker, or the convincing performance of a role. It was the courage to lie a few hundred yards from a real and deadly enemy, armed with nothing more than rubber sound paint. It was the patience to spend hours creating a detail that might only be seen for a moment by a single enemy scout. The gentle lesson of the Ghost Army is that sometimes the most profound acts of war are those that look the most like peace.